He's Aleksandr Kolchanov. Hope I pronounced that correctly. And he'll teach you to create the botnet out of Gsm devices. Please give a warm round of applause.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the visiting my talk. And today I will tell you about the security of the Gsm devices, using Gsm devices for attacks, and some ideas how hackers can create the botnet of Gsm devices and why it can be interesting. So, a few words about me. I am an independent researcher from Russia. I love different Gsm devices, but also I hate it because they usually are very insecure. Also, I am telecom fan, and I will tell you how we can combine the security of telecom and the security of Gsm devices to hack, to have fun, and to do something interesting. And we have the small plan for this talk. Firstly, I will present different types of devices. Then I will discuss different hacking methods. Then we will discuss how we can create a botnet of the Gsm devices. We will discuss different reasons why hacking of Gsm devices can be interesting. And I will present different interesting ideas and examples. Firstly, which devices we will discuss today? I bring some devices, so I will give it for you, but please return it at the end of the talk. Firstly, we have the Gsm Alarms. The idea of the Gsm Alarms is very simple. You can buy some device, you can install some detectors, and then you will get the SMS or call when somebody will open the door or break the window. Usually you can send an SMS or make a call to control this device. Also, there are a lot of small microphones included in the different Gsm alarms. And mostly all alarms can be configured remotely. Today I will present two different Gsm alarms. This is a cheap Gsm alarm from the AliExpress, and it is the Gsm alarm from AliExpress too, but presented on the different brand. Okay, you can take it, you can try to open it maybe, but please return it later. Also, we have Gsm electric socket. You can buy socket, and then you can send SMS or make a call to switch on or switch off electricity. For example, it can be useful if you want to use a pump, if you want to use electric heating in your home, but also hacker can try to get access to the electric socket and hack it. I have one example of Gsm electric socket. Also, we have different Gsm controllers for smart home. The idea for Gsm controller for smart home is easy too. You can connect different devices like heating system, like different detectors, like, for example, some air conditioners, and then you can send SMS, make a call to do something. Sometimes you can buy the cheap device for maybe 50 euro, or sometimes you can buy extremely expensive device for 1,000 euro, but often you will have the same problem and the same hardware inside. And also, mostly this device can be configured remotely, and it is very interesting for hackers. Also, we have industrial Gsm controllers. It is really close to the home controllers, but often they have some additional features. And I bring one interesting controller which created from Russian engineers, and it is totally insecure, and it is interesting, and you can try to open it, but please don't break it. Also, we have different access control systems. They can be used in home, they can be used to open or close the gate, and sometimes you can use it in the office to control all employees. Usually you can send an SMS to open the door. Also, we have different Jsm Trackers. You can install it in your bike, in your car, and you will get an SMS, or sometimes you will get a call when somebody stole your bike or your car. And we have different smartwatches for kids. It is a bit new device, and the main idea is that you can buy this device, the kid will wear it, and you will get information about location. Sometimes you can use the microphone to listen an environment. Sometimes you can send some information and make some calls. And of course it is very interesting for hackers because the kids are very interesting targets. And I will present you one device from Russian shop, but we have a lot of different devices like this in AliExpress, on eBay, and sometimes in the local shop in different countries. And also we have one more Gsm alarm, and I have an example of the detector for the Gsm alarms. And now I will present some examples of vulnerabilities in these devices. For example, in device A from AliExpress, an attacker can just brute force the 4-digit code and gain full access to the device. He can switch on the device, he can switch off the device, he can change the master phone number, and for example, it is enough to add this device to the botnet. In case the alarm B, an attacker can send an SMS with a special command which will change the settings. This SMS doesn't include any passwords, so it means you should just search some in the internet, find the command, and execute it. In case of the controller C, an attacker can make a spoofed call and execute different commands. And it is funny because this device are used in the different systems like smart home controllers and in some Gsm alarms and in some factories. And in case of the smartwatch for kid, an attacker can send SMS command and execute different commands, include a change in the master phone number. So it allows for the hacker to gain full access to this device. But why it is interesting for hackers to hack this device? Firstly, we can discuss about the direct attacks. It means that if you can switch off the alarm, you can open the door, you can break the glass, you can steal something, and nobody will know about this problem. Also, there are a lot of different devices with the microphone inside. So an attacker can try to use it to spy information. For example, he can try to get the private information from the house, maybe private information from the office, or maybe from the car. Also, if the device allows you to switch off or switch on electricity, like electric circuit, like some smart home controllers, an attacker can try to switch off or switch on electricity to destroy something. For example, to switch on the water pump, to switch on the heating, or change the engineering process in the factory. Also, sometimes attacks on devices can be used in the terrorism or in political actions. For example, if the attackers from one country can hack different devices in the other country, it can be terrible nowadays. Also, if you can change the master phone number, the device will make a call or send the SMS to the other phone number. If you can add the paid phone number, you can earn some money. And also, some device allows you to send a special command and then execute this command via SMS or USSD command and get the answer. So it means that in case of different mobile operators, it allows you to ask for the new password and use this password to get access to the user's account on the mobile operator site. And the final idea, you can try to create the botnet of different Gsm alarms, for example, the botnet of the Gsm electric socket. It allows you firstly to make a lot of calls and send SMS. Sometimes it allows you to make a DOS attack. Also, it allows you to perform different financial attacks. And also, the political actions are interesting nowadays. Because who knows what will happen when somebody will hack the alarms in other country and the device will start an alarm and pronounce terrible things. But why the devices are so insecure? Why they have a lot of different problems? Because firstly, we have a lot of marketing guys. And marketing guys told us that cheap devices will protect your property and kit. They will help you to control your home and save the electricity and save the money. Also, they tell you that the cheap devices are secure too, so it is not necessary to spend maybe 1,000 euro to buy a good GSM system, but you can just spend 50 euro on AliExpress and got a very secure system. Also, you can just buy the device and install it without any problem. It is easy, and it is the reason why we have a lot of problems with detectors now. Also, the marketing tells us that the applications are not required. You can send the SMS, you can't make a calls, and you will just use the insecure communication protocol to execute important commands. Also, the marketing told us that you cannot be a modern person without the modern devices, so you should install a lot of devices in your home, you should protect your kids if you are a responsible parent, and you should just buy a lot of devices now. But it is the reason why we have a lot of GSM devices, thousands or maybe millions now. Also, we have a lot of devices with the default settings, with default password. We have a lot of devices with stupid vulnerabilities and with extremely stupid vulnerabilities. For example, when you can just send an SMS from the manual and get full access to the device. Also, this is the reason why we have a lot of incorrectly installed device, and we have a lot of cheap and insecure devices, and also we have a lot of expensive and insecure devices. Because some company decide just to buy the device on AliExpress for 50 euro and send it in the local market maybe for 200 or 300 euro. And also we have the absence of the normal research and certifications in case of Gsm Alarms. And one of the important problem, thousands of devices have dozens of points of failure. What it means? Let's start from the physical environment and connection to the detectors. Usually we have the main controller, we have main detector, and some additional detectors. Also, we have some connected devices like heating system, like air condition system. Also, we have some controlling devices like keys, like keypads, like magnets for some devices. And we have the modem, which will connect the device to the internet, to the mobile internet, to the scary mobile internet with the different problems. And it means that if we have any problem in the communication between any part of the system, sometimes the device can die or hacker can try to use it. Also, we have the other side. We have the mobile network with different base station, different users' devices, different magic inside the mobile network, like maybe government devices, like some devices from different companies. We have dozens of different services of mobile operators. We have some online configuration tool for the GSM devices. And we have different IT security companies and physical security companies, which can be insecure too. And we have a lot of different mobile operators employers, sometimes with extremely small salary, and it means that you can try to use social engineering, or sometimes, in case of different country, you can just pay something like $10 to get the access to the private information about user. And now we will discuss about different attacks on the GSM devices. We will start from the local attacks, and then we will discuss about, just put here please. And then we will discuss different remote attacks and we will discuss how we create the botnet of the devices. Firstly, you should install the Gsm alarm properly. You should install the smart home controller properly. For example, if you just buy the device, put some detectors on the door, it means that if somebody will break the window or somebody will break the wall, he will get access to the property and you will not have an alarm. Also, sometimes different devices can be just physically smashed and they will not send any alarm, they will not send any information. Also, we have a lot of problems with bypassing detectors. We have some problems with magnets, we have some problems with portable Faraday cage, and also we have a lot of problems with jamming. Because in case of a lot of different types of detectors, you can just buy a cheap device which will jam the radio frequency diapason, and you can disable these detectors. Also, we can have a lot of problem in case of connection. Firstly, we can just try to buy some jamming device and jam the connection between the modem and the base station of mobile operators. It means that if somebody will open the door, the device will try to send the information, but it will fail and the user will not get information about the thief. Also, it means that if you try to get the location of your kit, the device will not able to send information and you will not know where is the kit. Also, we can execute a lot of different attacks on the mobile network. And also it is important because there are a lot of cheap GSM devices which works only for 2G. Because the devices for 3G is more expensive. And it means that if you go to the AliExpress again, if you want to buy some device, sometimes you need to pay something like 550 euro for the 2G device and something like 70 euro for 3G device. And it means that a lot of people will buy the cheap devices with all protocols and with a lot of known vulnerabilities. Sometimes you can try to attack the mobile operator and try to use different methods which allow you to block SIM cards or send a lot of calls. For example, in case of 3 or 5 mobile operator in Russia, it is possible just to make a spoofed call to the support and block the SIM card. And now we will discuss different attacks on the device which can be performed remotely. Firstly, there are two main authentication methods in case of the GSM alarm. Firstly, it is the caller ID check. The idea is extremely simple and useful for the user. You should just make a call to the number of the GSM device. The GSM device will check the phone number, and if this number is on list, you will get the full access to the device. But changing or spoofing the caller ID is extremely simple now, because you can just spend maybe $10 to buy the subscription to the spoofcard.com or something like this to make a lot of calls with a spoofed caller ID. Also, there is a second variant. It is the idea of the checking some digital authorization code. When you make a call and then device asks you to type the code. But there are a lot of problems with this system because, firstly, a lot of devices use only for digital authorization code. And they are not allow you to use 4-digit code or even sometimes change it. And we have a lot of default passwords like 1234, like 4444 for some devices. And also we have a lot of popular passwords like date of birth, like some cool numbers. And it means that usually it is extremely easy just to make a call to the device, try to brute force something, and use the popular password. But also, if the password is hard, also it is possible just to make a brute force, because 4-digit code is enough short, and in case, for example, of the Gsm alarm from the AliExpress I presented today, it is possible to fully brute force all variants of authorization code in 31 hours. And also, if you use the SMS commands for control device, you can check the phone number or you can check the authorization code. It means that it is possible to spoof the phone number of the SMS. It is a bit more hard, and it is the reason why a lot of people think that it is possible to spoof the calls, but it is impossible to spoof the SMS. But unfortunately, it is possible too, and usually you can attack different devices. Sometimes there are a lot of problems with authorization, because a lot of Jsm Trackers doesn't allow you to use any authorization. It means that if you know the phone number, you can send an SMS, sometimes you can make a call, and get information about location of car, location of bike, sometimes location a bag. And we have some online configuration tools. And in case of the different online configuration tools, you can sometimes use a special authorization code. You can just execute the command. Sometimes you can just change the settings remotely. And it means that if you can open the manual for some device, you can find the URL, and you can just attack any device of this model. And sometimes we have some hidden commands and passwords. For example, in case the smartwatch for kid from AliExpress or from the local store, it is possible to find different SMS password for the device. Also, there are some other systems related with the Gsm devices. Firstly, there are a lot of insecure security agencies. For example, company which provide you security guards, physical security, because it is not IT company, and it means that they will have a lot of different problems with the IT security, from basic and common vulnerabilities to people who don't know about the social engineering and some direct attacks. Also, in case of the communication between the device and the security company, there are some old protocols like academic, and these protocols are not so secure. Sometimes you can brute force the codes. Sometimes you can try to perform different attacks like DOS attacks. And also, you can try to hack the members of family or members of company of the user. For example, if you know a lot of the IT security, if you will not type the password for the device on the internet site, who knows what will do your kids, what will do your grandmother, or what will do your wife. Also, there are some ideas for phishing and some interesting spoof to reverse call from the device. It means that if you buy the device and at night you will receive the call from the device, and the device will tell you that somebody opened the door, please type the code to get access to the microphone or to switch off the device. Usually people will try to type the code because they are shocked. But because you can spoof the caller ID, you can use it to get the password. Also, you can try to use a reverse attack on the mobile operators. And if the user have one account for different phone numbers, it means that you can just hack one device to hack all other devices. And we have a lot of insecure control service for different vendors, for different company which provide you different devices. And we have two main group of the devices. First group is the home devices. It is simple devices for homes, for flats, for cars, and for kids. There are thousands or maybe millions of this device now. They are very easy to research because you can just go to local store, you can buy it on the internet, and they are not expensive. Also, usually they are very easy to hack because there are no special requirements for these devices. They are a bit hard to find if you want to create the botnet. And this device can be used to steal the private information with microphone, for example. But also we have the industrial devices. They are not so widespread as the home devices. Maybe there are 1,000 devices, and it means that it is not so easy to find it. It is harder to hack it because they're expensive. You should go to the special shop. Sometimes you should explain why you should buy this device. But attacking on the industrial devices can be more profitable and maybe can be very interesting for the government hackers of different countries. And when we discuss about the remote attacks on the GSM devices, we usually use 3 groups of the targets. First, the group, it is the individual person. It means that, for example, if I am attacker, I know that the guy on the next street have a very rich house, and I want to steal something. I know his phone number, maybe I know his name, or I know something. And I will try to hack his alarm, and sometimes it is easy because I know his phone number. Sometimes I can pay something to the mobile operator employer to get information. Sometimes I can spend a lot of time to perform attack, but I know that when I will be able, for example, to switch off the alarm, I will be able to get a lot of money. Also, we have the individual company as a target. It means that, for example, some company have the Gsm alarm in office. Maybe they have the Gsm controller for some manufacturer. And usually it is more hard to find the device because you don't know the phone number of this device. And usually it can be expensive and uncommon device. So sometimes you should spend a lot of money to buy this device. You should explain why you need this device, and you should perform additional research. And also we have the unspecified targets, or we want to create the massive attack. The main idea is to find a lot of device, hack as much as possible, hack all device, try to get money, and get more profit than we spend money. But we have maybe the most important problem in case of attacks on the GSM devices, because it is easy to hack devices, because you can usually brute force, you can use the insecure communication protocols, you can find a lot of different vulnerabilities, but how to find targets? If I can hack the device, I should make a call to the device or send the SMS, so I should know the phone number. And usually it is hard to find the phone number, and it is important part of the creating of botnet. And now I will tell you some different techniques which we can use to do it. Firstly, the simplest and the stupid method. It is the mass scanning. It means that I should buy some special SMS hub, I should buy a lot of SIM card, and I should make a call to the millions different phone numbers. It sounds terrible, and yes, it is terrible. It will require to spend maybe $10,000 or $20,000 to scan all phone number in one country, but usually it allows you to get information about all active devices. But usually mobile operators will ask you, what are you doing? Why you made million calls? It is terrible. And you should perform different, maybe machine learning research, and you should try to detect different devices. But in case of some country with a lot of people and with small amount of the codes for the mobile phone, it means that you can find a lot of devices, spend not so much money, and get profit. But for example, in case of Russia, you will spend a lot of money because we have millions phone numbers, and maybe you will get information about 10 or 20,000 of the GSM devices, but it is totally unprofitable. And we have first one additional idea. We can try to use the different method to get information about the phone numbers without making a calls. To get information, is it a device, is it a user, is it a company? And it will allow us to reduce the time for attack, it will allow us to save the money, and sometimes the mobile operator will not ask, what are you doing? So, we will use a small classification. We will have the confinement, phone numbers, unconfinement, and remote. When we know that this phone number is used for the device, we will put it in the first group. It means that, okay, we will have the numbers in the first group, and we can just make a call and hack it. Or we can send the SMS or hack it. Also, we have some numbers. Usually it is the biggest group. When we know that this phone number can be used in the device, in the typical mobile phone, in some IVR system, and we should try to get information about phone numbers from this group. And we have some remote phone numbers. It means that we know that it is the number not for the Gsm alarm, not for the Gsm device. For example, it is the phone number of the mobile operator. It is the phone number of some guy from a country. Also, it is the phone number of the IVR system. It is abandoned phone number, or it is the phone number which will not sold to anybody. And we have the number recycling problem. Maybe it is the most important problem when we're trying to make a classification. Because usually mobile operators try to save the phone numbers database. And that means that if you don't use the phone number, they will try to get it back. Sometimes it can happen in 2, 3, 6 months, sometimes in a year. But it means that we cannot just get all information from 10 years old and use it to hack the devices, because it usually changes. And now we will start discuss about different techniques. Firstly, there are a lot of different mobile operators which allows you to open the website of mobile operators and select the new phone number. And it means that if you can find the phone number on this site, you can use it, you can confirm that this phone number is not used in the device because this phone number is not sold. And I presented different screenshots from mobile operator site in Russia, and it means that these numbers are not possible to use for hacking, and you can remove it from the potential target list. Also, we can try to use different mobile operators API to get information about the phone number. Is this phone number in use, or it is not sold, or it is blocked for different reasons? And if we know that this phone number is not sold, if it is not in use, we can remove it from the list. For example, you can try to maybe sign into the mobile operator site. You can try to get information that this phone number is not exist, and it is useful because you can try to remove this number from the database. Also, we have a lot of companies which provide information about spam numbers or additional information about calling from number. It is like the Truecaller or some Google application for Android, and it means that you can get this database and remove all information about the phone number related with the companies, related with the spam companies, and maybe for the known users. Also, usually a lot of people get a lot of spam, and sometimes you can just buy old database, or you can buy not effective database from the spammers, and you will know that a lot of phone numbers from this database are used by people, not by the Gsm devices. And you can just remove this phone number from your potential target list. Also, we have a lot of leaked database from different sources. For example, previous year we had the leaked database from the Marriott hotels, and for example from this hotel too. And it means that if you can find the phone number of in this database, it means that mostly this phone number will not be used in the GSM device. And you can remote it from this list too. Sometimes, by the public sources, you can pay some money to the mobile operators' employers. It depends on the country. For example, in Russia, it's something between $10 to $100 to get information about a lot of phone numbers, to get information about mobile operator database. And it can be useful for the direct attacks, or also it can be used to get information about not active numbers. And we have very funny app. It is get contact or something like this. The idea is very easy, very stupid, and very insecure. Because you should just download the get contact or something like this, allow this application to get information about your contacts, and then you can open this application, type any phone number, and get information about associated name for this phone number from the other persons. But it means that, okay, I can use it to know how other people sign me in their phones, but I can try to find the names for phone numbers like alarm, home, car, dacha, or something like this. And it means that if you have the alarm name, mostly it will be the GSM alarm or maybe alarm system or security company. And it means that if you have not enough time to do full research, you can try to get the database of get contact up, something like this, or some leaked information from the public sources, and use it to get information about 1,000 devices. Also, we can try to use any vulnerabilities on the public API. The main idea, if we have the messenger, if we have the bank account, if we have maybe Google account, and we can check if this number is used in the service or no. And if we can see that this number is used in the bank service, mostly it means that it will be not the GSM alarm, so we can remove this number from list. So the main idea for this point that you should find the device, or that you find the website or the service which will allow you to do brute force, to send 1,000 phone numbers and get information. And usually it is possible. Also, we have the funny problem, because mostly the application which can be used to control the devices is terrible. They have the bad design, they usually works terrible, and it means that if you can spend maybe 1,000 euro or 2,000 to pay to the programmer to create the good and well-designed application and upload it to the App Store, to the Google Play, you will get information about the phone number of the devices and information about the PIN code for these devices. And now we will try to create the botnet theoretically. Firstly, we collect information about phone numbers. We remote a lot of information about phone numbers which are not used for the devices. Now we have maybe several thousand phone numbers, maybe several millions. It depends on the situation and it depends on how are you successful. Then you should buy the SIM cards, or you should spend some money for the SIP account, and you should scan all phone numbers. And you will get information if this is the device or if some unpopular phone number. Then you should use different techniques to check the model of the device, and then you should just make a classification and create the database, and then you should use the different known vulnerabilities. For example, you can start from the brute force, you can start from the well-known password, you can start from the default password, then you can try to use the different online configurators, and sometimes you can try to make a new research. Then you should send new settings. Usually you can send new master phone number, or you can send the additional phone number. And if you send the additional phone number, usually it means that nobody will found that, okay, somebody has the access to my device too. And then you can use this botnet. You can send the SMS, and users will pay for the SMS. You can make a lot of calls, and you can sometimes perform DOS attacks. Also, we have some techniques for the direct search. It is important if we want to hack the device from one person. We can sometimes pay some money to the mobile operators' employers. We can use different antennas or fake base station. We can try to perform different social engineering against the user, against the mobile operators, or against his family. Sometimes we can try to use the phishing. We can hack the security agency which he used. And sometimes we can try to find his profile on some website and buy his old devices to get the information about the previous passwords. And also, as I mentioned, we had a lot of problems with the security companies. For example, because a lot of security company needs the promotion, needs the adverts, so they just public information about the clients. It is terrible, but it is very useful for hackers. So, we have the small conclusion. Firstly, it is not so hard to find the device. And it means that if you can find this device, you can use the different vulnerabilities because several models are totally insecure. A lot of models are insecure enough for hackers. Also, industrial devices are not so popular, but you can hack it too. You can find it too. And if you can do it, it is terrible. And also, the security level of mobile operators is questionable. So it means that usually you can hack the mobile operators instead of the GSM device, because in case of the good GSM devices, it is more easy and more profitable. So thank you for your attention. I can answer on your questions if you have some. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have questions for Aleksandr? Please just raise your hand. Not everybody at once.
Okay, so if there are no questions, please return the
There's
devices,
one here.
and I can answer your question.
How big is your GSM botnet?
I don't have the GSM botnet because I made the theoretical research, of course.
Okay, any more botnet related questions or unrelated? Then thank you very much. Please give another warm round of applause.
Okay.
And
Thank you
we'll
for
change
attention.
speakers and be right back.